He was known as a walker by his inhabitants, whom he was guardian over as appointed by Guthix. The Lost Grove contains immense, unknown power, and Solak is the protector of these lands. The Second Age, known as the Age of Zaros, saw the founding and highly aggressive expansion of the Zarosian Empire. The god Seren had sent 4 elite elven warriors, Faerdhinen, Saeldor, Merethiel, and Erethdor, to aid Solak in his efforts to protect the grove from any danger that may come, not knowing that there was a traitor amongst them. Merethiel's brother, Erethdor, had an insatiable hunger for power and knowledge. They had stolen a grimoire from the Prifddinas library, which told of blight magic, that Merethiel described as extremely destructive yet calm and yielding. This only fueled Erethdor's desire for power even more. Learning of the power contained in the heart of the grove, he would do anything to take that power for himself, even if it meant betraying his sister and their comrades. But his attempts at using the dark magic against Solak was unfruitful. Erethdor's mind was split, half being stored within a stone Merethiel would always carry with her, and the other half tainting Solak's mind, slowly corrupting him as the time passed. Solak told the elven warriors to warn Seren of his corruption, to which he sealed off the grove to protect the rest of Gielinor. After thousands of years, Erethdor's corruption finally took full control over the Guardian, and during the Sixth Age, he re-emerged the Lost Grove, which attracted many humans to this long-lost island. Solak is incredibly powerful, and being under the control of a power-hungry being is dangerous for any of the adventurers who wander onto this island. Now, Merethiel has tasked us with relinquishing Erethdor's control over Solak's mind. I'm Rayo, and welcome back to Reckless Ranger. Before we get started, make sure to check the video description for the series playlist, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to get notified of new episode releases. Today's episode, as you can probably tell, is focused around Solak, specifically solo Solak. I decided to give this a try last week on stream and was very surprised at my ability to get consistent kills. Today, I'll be going over my setup and loadout and giving a walkthrough over a full kill clip explaining exactly what I was doing, so that you can give this a shot and start earning your own grimoire pages. Keep in mind that this won't be the fastest kill, but it will 100% give you some understanding on how you can get a kill yourself. Solak is an endgame boss, so there are going to be a lot of items, suggestions, and requirements in this section. My armor and bow are best in slot while using the best in slot perks listed on the PvMe Discord. You definitely don't need Bow of the Last Guardian to accomplish a kill. I've seen this done with a tier 87 decimation, but it'll of course make it easier. I use a similar setup to the Big Arrow build from my care pack video with some slight adjustments. I still use the Blood Reaver, Vamp Prism Aura, Cinderbanes, Weapon Poison, and Big Arrows, but my quiver also has Death Spore arrows as a swap, and my book slot here is a grimoire since it's free to use while within a Solak instance. The increased hit cap and crit chance make a very big difference throughout the fight, so I highly recommend this if you have it. Otherwise, I would stick with either a Book of Wen for more poison procs, the Scripture Full for more overall direct DPS, or the Jazz Scripture for a chance to slap a large book proc. Keep in mind that the tightest DPS check is going to be P4, where you need to deal 200,000 damage within roughly 30 seconds. So whichever pocket slot item you find best to use here, go with that. The Death Spore arrows are good during P4 because it will allow you to use Natural Instinct, Incendiary Shot, and Death Swiftness all before Solak is able to be damaged. I bring all 3 ranged EOFs, the Dark Bow, SGB, and ECB, but I primarily just use the SGB and Dark Bow. I really only use the ECB EOF to help me burst down the core and Solak's limbs at the end of phase 1, but at minimum I'd suggest having the Dark Bow EOF. Aside from that, I bring a combat dummy for setting up my burst during P4, full arrow switch for bursting P4, the Dark Crystal reduced healing. This is to make sure that my health is never 100%, which makes it so I'm always healing from Soul Split, and the Vamp Prism Aura, which makes it so my Reaver is always attacking. I also bring rune pouches for Disruption Shield, Ancient Spellbook Swap, and Crystal of Rejuvenation. And then I have my standard inventory setup, which includes Vuln Bombs, food, brews, overloads, a bladed dive switch, and I personally use a blessed flask because my kills are lengthy, but 2 restore flasks should work just fine. Now that we've gone over my loadout, let's get into the kill. I start off the fight by casting Greater Death Swiftness, Apot, and then I will start the encounter with Solak, that way I have a lossless start. I'll target cycle in Vuln Bomb, Gricko, and then go into a bow spec if you have the tier 95 bow. And I'll SGB right away if I have SGB, because I want to use it twice within my Greater Death Swiftness. The pad is going on, so after about 2 autos or so, or right before the second auto, I will use the Vit Pot to make sure that I don't die from the pad. If the pad spawns next to me, I'll step onto it. Once the bar above my head fully charges, I'll make sure that I have Disruption Shield and Resonance on. That way I can absorb the auto attack from Solak as well as absorb the bomb so I don't die. If you're good with timing, you really only need one or the other, but I like to use both for certainty. At the end of my Greater Death Swiftness is when I'll start attacking the volatile rootlings because I want to try and get these down before roots spawn, or at least be towards the end of roots. Then when Erethdor says the roots below bend to my will, that's when I want to pay attention to where the roots are coming from. You'll see a little arrow on the map. When the timer above your head reaches about 1, you want to surge away to make sure that you don't get hit by the roots. Once that finishes and you finish all the roots, you're going to get to about the 120 to the 130 second mark. And around this time, the auto attacks from Solak are going to be a little bit delayed. So just be careful of that when you're prayer flicking. When you get to about 1.5 mil or towards the end of his rampage where he attacks quicker, you will start to go to the center and deal with his arms and legs. Make sure you don't target cycle too soon because you'll just start attacking Solak's body, and then you will want to retarget onto Solak's limbs. It's okay if you target Solak's body because you can upkeep your big stacks, which you do want to do occasionally so you don't lose all of your big stacks, but you don't need to do it too frequently. After the arms are down, I will target cycle and use an ability on his body to upkeep the big stacks, and then his legs will become attackable. Don't be shy with your adrenaline here or your thresholds. Just plan to do a 2 cycle to start out. Just make sure that you get these limbs down. Once the core spawns, make sure that you use your SGB if you have an SGB because the area of the core is larger than 1 by 1, so it will hit multiple times. I almost got the 1 cycle here, but I missed it by just 2.3k, so now I'm just going to be camping at the health threshold of Solak until he starts to do the arms and legs again. This is okay if it happens, all you have to do is wait for him to start doing it again. So for this case, I can just start stacking up some more big arrow stacks. If you are 2 cycling like I am doing here, make sure that you do not forget to upkeep the big stacks on Solak's body because that is going to make sure that you have a lot of big arrow stacks to DPS him down during phase 2. The arms are down, I target cycle his body, and I use an ability, and then I will click and target his leg. Now that I've finished the core, we are going into phase 2, so I will go behind Solak. Once you see the tornadoes start to come out from the corners, I will target one and I'll use a couple abilities, and then I will click on Merethiel, that way she can spawn the blight cleanse. Once that happens, I will go over to the first tornado that I started killing, and I will go up on the first tornado. Make sure you do not tunnel vision during this phase. It is very easy to lose focus of keeping up big stacks on Solak, so every single time you come down from an anima storm, make sure that you attack Solak and use a bleed or something to upkeep the big stacks. You only need to go up twice if you don't have a lot of blight stacks. So that would be if you go up right away and you go up on the next blight storm right after that. I like to take my time during this phase because there is a lot of damage. After my first anima eruption, I will lure Solak to the northern side and I will kill the 2 anima eruptions there. And then once those are down, I will lure him back to the last southern anima eruption. And on my way to that southern anima eruption, I will click on Merethiel one more time to cleanse blight for myself. And I will go up on the last one. Now that all the anima eruptions are done and the anima storm is dead, I can just lure Solak all the way to the northern side of the platform, start a DS. And when he says rip the earth open, that's when a bunch of bombs are going to spawn on the ground. You want to be very careful about your placement here because sometimes these bombs will spawn right under Solak. So you need to be very careful on where you're standing because they will do a lot of damage and you'll need to move around occasionally. I'll also make sure to spawn a Crystal of Rejuvenation, that way my Blood Reaver is staying healed up all through this phase. Once you see Nature's Blessing pop up on the ground, you want to pick it up, and then right when he says the power of the grove in its purest form, he will start an animation, and right towards the end of that animation is when I will click on my special action to spawn the shield. This should make it last during the entire anima reign. Once you hit 800k, that's when you are going to phase. So if you phase him early, it will start to take down the purple bar or the blight bar right below his health, which you need to get to 0 in order to continue the phase. In this case, I had him slam the ground right on the phase, which I've never had happen before. But if this is the case, make sure you use Anticipate or Freedom, surge out of the way, and then you climb up on his arm. Once you climb up on his arm, make sure you are DPSing him. And if you have Disruption Shield, go ahead and use it because he will do 1 strong melee attack towards the end of the arm. You can also res or Devo and pray melee. At the start of phase 3, you will notice that there are a bunch of diagrams on the ground, which we'll refer to as pads. What you need to do is make sure Solak is standing on a pad, so that way when it fully charges, it'll turn purple and it will allow you to use your special action key, which instead of spawning a shield, will now put you into Solak's mind. When you go into Solak's mind, you will be fighting Erethdor, who will use ranged attacks, and while you're in Solak's mind, you will not be able to heal, except from Soul Split. What you want to do here is just get Erethdor down to a point where the next time that you go up, you will be able to get him down. Once you come back down, Solak is going to stun you, so you want to Freedom and stun him back. If you don't stun him, then he will constantly do very massive damage to you, so whenever he stuns you, or right before he stuns you, make sure that you stun him. Aside from that, the goal here is to get as close to the threshold as possible, so just get to 200k health left, and then once you are at that 200k threshold, you'll just need to charge up a pad one more time, go up and kill Erethdor, and then you'll be taken to the final phase. Once I'm done with Erethdor and I spawn back down, I will deploy a dummy, make sure I'm on my Deathspore arrows, and I'll finish getting them to 5 stacks, Incendiary Shot, Natural Instinct, go to full arrows, build back up to 100% Adrenaline, and drop a Death Swiftness. And then after the Death Swiftness is down, I will Vuln Bomb Solak, and I will start to completely burst him down. Make sure you use your Darkbow EOF, your SGB right out at the gate. And with the crit buff and Natural Instinct, you should be regenerating enough Adrenaline to spam a few Darkbows in there. And at that point, you should be done with Solak. And that's all I have for you today, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode of Reckless Ranger where I took on solo Solak, and I hope that you could learn a thing or two. This was a pretty difficult challenge for me to get down, so I was very excited to get it down, make a video on it, do a little bit of a walkthrough guide, and just share what I learned. If you've been keeping up with my streams, you'll know that we've been doing some Maniacal Magician progress, and if you've seen any of my previous episodes, you will know that my next series is going to be Maniacal Magician. With that being said, I'm incredibly stoked to announce that December 10th is going to be the series premiere of Maniacal Magician. So if you're not already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit the bell icon, that way you get notified of the series premiere. I'll also be posting about this in my Discord and on my stream, so make sure to check the video description for my Discord link as well as my Twitch link. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Rayo, and I'm incredibly excited to see you next week for the series premiere of Maniacal Magician. Take care.